On this episode of the Oklahoma Breakdown with Ikard and Lehman, presented by Riverwind Casino, we've got an OU football Q&A, answering all your questions you sent in about the Sooners and the 2024 season. Please download and subscribe to the podcast, rate it 5 stars, and write us a good review. Follow the show on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Just search Oklahoma Breakdown on any of those, and you'll find us. All right, our man Michael Hosty will kick this thing off. It's time for the Oklahoma Breakdown. It's a beautiful Wednesday, August 7th, and you're listening to the Oklahoma Breakdown with Ikard and Lehman, presented by Riverwind Casino. Riverwind is Oklahoma City's premier casino experience, and there are so many reasons why Riverwind is consistently voted OKC's #1 casino, but it all starts with their amazing variety of gaming thrills and excitement. Riverwind's beautiful, award-winning environment plays host to more than 2,800 of the latest electronic games, with a huge selection of table games, including blackjack match, roulette, and Teddy's favorite, craps. No matter what your game, Riverwind has it in spades and hearts. And to learn more about their gaming promotions and entertainment options in the month of August, all you got to do is visit riverwind.com. Riverwind Casino, simply the best. One order of business before we get started with answering people's questions about the season, Ted.
Yes.
We have a slot or two open.
Ooh.
Advertising slot or two open for the season. If your business wants to advertise on the podcast, please email us at the Oklahoma Breakdown at gmail.com and we can start a dialogue. All right, let's jump right in, man. This is going to be a lot of fun. So this is unlike our normal Q&A. This is OU football in 2024 Q&A, which we may have to do a couple of these because we got a
Yeah.
ton of questions.
Yeah. Those good questions too.
So let's get it started with this first one that came from at Sooner, Virginia. He asks, what are you guys thinking for the linebacker rotation alongside Stutsman? Does someone besides Kip Lewis rise up and take snaps? If so, how many guys get significant field time at the mic? Also, has the room progressed to the point where we spell Danny when needed? If only there was someone on this podcast that knew anything about playing linebacker and knew this linebacker room very, very well. Oh, hi, Ted. What's up?
Uh, I wish this question was easier to answer. Um,
Take your
I
time, man.
I
Take as long
honestly
as you
don't
need.
know.
I'm as interested as Sooner Virginia. Lay it on me.
I, I'm 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 not sure what it's going to look like. I know that we've got more capable guys than we've ever had. Um, so even though it's a big storyline, it's one that I'm really not too worried about. I think Kip Lewis looks great. Um, like him and Danny could be a really good combination. That's you got Stutzman playing the mic in that, and Kip Lewis plays the will. Um, you got the other rotation. You got Lewis Carter's been playing Mike with Stutzman at the will. Um, you've got Kanik, you've got Kobe McKenzie, you got several capable guys. I'm not exactly sure what the whole rotation's going to look like, and I they may try and give Stutzman a little bit of a break here and there, depending on how the game is going, and try and keep some of his reps down. But you know, I I don't know. I think to me, the most important thing is what's the backup mic look like? Like who is? Is it Lewis Carter? Is it Kanik or is it Kobe McKenzie? And then like Kip Lewis is ready to roll at Will Backer. And I think, and until we get out there and see him more and see what the rotation, if it's changed, I think it's kind of someone has to be better at Mike than Kip has been at Will, kind of to some degree. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know. I don't know what it's going to look like, and just going to have to continue to monitor that through training camp. But we've got four capable guys. I guess you'd say five capable guys that you feel good in some combination with Stutzman out there, right? Like the two inside spots look a lot better whenever Stutsman's either playing the Will or the Mike, whether it's Danny and Kip or Lewis Carter and Danny or Canick or Kobe. I think any of those guys are good as long as Stutzman's out there with them.
Stutzman's definitely the key. That's obvious. Is there a certain number that you think Zach Alley and Venables want to get to? Like, do you want to have just four guys? Venables in the past, he's made it very clear. He plays guys that he believed has earned snaps. Like, and he finds snaps for those guys that have had, prepared well through the offseason, practice at a high level. Like, he wants to get guys that he feels has earned snaps on the field, especially on defense.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be really interesting. It feels like four main guys right now to me, with Stutsman, Kip, Lewis Carter, and Kobe McKenzie. I'm not entirely sure where Canick fits in the mix. I don't know if he's been passed up completely. I think that they've got more training camp to decide kind of where he stands in the order of things. But I feel really good about those four. They look the part physically, and from everything I can tell, Ted, it seems like they have a really good understanding of the defense. It took them a while, right, to get to this point,
Yep.
but those four guys seem to really understand and work well together, which is maybe one of the most important things at that position.
Yeah, and it's good that Stutzman works at both of those because it increases your lineups. Because he can play the Will, and Lewis Carter could be out there with him. He could play the Mike, and Kip could be out there with him, and those guys can interchange a little bit. The whole room is in a much better spot than it has been previously. I feel good about it. I like several of those guys, and I'll include Canick in that. I think he's got a lot of upside, and we'll see if he can continue to progress. But my what we're 3 or 4 days into training camp. My initial thought right now is Stutzman is going to be obviously full-time player, and then I think it could be a rotation, whether it's game situation, whether it's just like a set rotation of snaps, or if there's like some matchups that they like with specific guys. I think it's Danny and Kip, and then Danny and Lewis Carter are your top two. I mean, I kind of take the fact that Venables talks a lot about Lewis Carter, and you know praises him a lot, talks about
He
how high his ceiling
he
is, and
runs out there with the first group a lot.
yeah. So, and that's not to say that any of the other guys have been passed up. Just haven't seen it enough yet to know what it's going to look like because throughout the entire practice, they mix and match those lineups so much. It's hard to know what the true, like what their number one group is.
And I love that they do that because we talk about it a lot. Football happens.
Yeah.
You never know who could be gone for a quarter, a half, a game or two. Injuries happen. So all these different combinations at inside backer that are not only are they getting to work with each other, but just getting to work with the entire defense, right? Because
Yep.
those are the vocal guys that are directing traffic for a lot of the defense. The fact that they're getting to work so much with different guys, like I think overall, when you talk about how long of a season this is going to be, I think that's a very, very positive thing. Yes, it's clear. Stutzman's the leader. He's the best guy in that room. No one's going to argue that. But I do think it's important that guys like Kip Lewis and Lewis Carter, that these guys start to develop that sense of like taking ownership of that position because it's Stutzman's last year. And you want
Yep.
those guys to get more and more comfortable developing that. And I call it, I think it's a skill set.
Yep.
There are natural leaders. And I think Stutzman has a lot of, kind of the vocal stuff naturally, but some guys have to develop that skill set So I think that it's overall it feels like a really solid situation at inside backer as long as Danny Stutsman is healthy. That's how it
Yeah.
feels.
Yeah. No, that's right. That's right. And it Stutzman and Lewis Carter feels great. Stutzman and Kip Lewis feels great. Kip Lewis and Lewis Carter, I don't know how great that feels at this time as far, you know what I'm saying?
That's
Like
fair.
just running the defense part of it. And that's one of the reasons that I like Kobe McKenzie a lot because I think he is really good at running things. He's smart, he's loud, he's vocal, he's physical. They got some good options in there. And, it is interesting though. And when you're playing linebacker, it really doesn't matter what the D line in front of you is. And it usually doesn't matter what the secondary behind you is. But like who you're playing inside backer with, it matters. Like whenever a new guy, like someone gets hurt, someone else jogs on the field, it's different. I I don't know how to exactly quantify it or say it, but it feels different. It's probably the same at center if you got a different guard next to you than who typically starts there. So the fact that they mess with a lot of those different lineups, I do think that's good.
And I think it's created a great competition in that room.
Yeah.
And those guys are constantly pushing each other, which is, only going to elevate the room as a whole. But if you had to pick two, I'm taking Stutzman and Kip Lewis. And it's not up to me, but I love the way. I love the energy that Kip Lewis plays with. And now that his weight is in that, 225 range, I'm not as worried about him holding up physically, but I just absolutely love watching that guy play football.
Yeah. He's got high energy, motors always running. And I love him too. Here's the problem though. I think Stutzman is best at will. So whenever you go with that combination, I think maybe you pull a little bit from what Stutzman's best at. But I mean, he's great at Mike too. I mean, he plays that position good. He's out in space a little bit more, bumped out on three. He's big and rangy in zones. He steps up and plays the edge good whenever they do that bear deal with a Mike backer steps up on the edge. He's good at that. So I mean that's the only negative thing I have to say about that lineup is you get Stutzman out of his will backer position, but I think I probably agree that right now they're your two best playmakers.
We'll see how it develops.
Yeah.
Great question, Sooner Virginia. All right, let's get to our next question. It comes from Gary O'Mealy. What a name. What's up, Gary? He asks, other than Jackson Arnold, Danny Stutzman, and Billy Bowman, which OU player showing up on the postseason All SEC team would be the best indicator of OU having had an excellent season? Kind of a tough question because the easy answer, right? You've got Stutzman and Bowman are your only preseason All SEC guys. If Arnold is making the postseason All SEC team, we're feeling real good about things. But he said, other than those three guys. So who you taking, Ted? What do you think?
But you can go a bunch of places. I mean, I doubt it's possible, but like if you have your left tackle make all SEC, I would say things went really, really good considering who's there right now. Right?
I
I mean,
what Michael Tarquin's going to be All SEC?
I don't. Well, I'm
Jacob
just saying, like,
Sexton?
I'm saying who's all SEC right now. Um, the kid down at LSU, right?
Oh yeah, Will Campbell. If
That would be
someone
someone.
outplays Will Campbell and Kelvin Banks, if one of OU's offensive tackles outplays one of those two guys, we're feeling great about
That's
things.
that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Realistically, though, I think if any of your wide receivers, and I think Burks could have a great opportunity at it. I think uh, Nick Anderson could have an opportunity at it. I think that's a pretty good indicator that Jackson Arnold had a hell of a year.
I I lean towards an offensive guy, and here's why. I think you and I we both feel pretty good about the defense,
Mm-hmm.
like what the floor of that group is going to be. It's going to be the best defense we've had in quite
Yeah.
some time. The offense is there's a little more uncertainty there with some of the young players in key positions, and then you've got two new coordinators, right? And Joe John Finley and Seth Luttrell. I lean towards a wide receiver. It's just because passing is the easiest way to score points in football. That's just a statistical fact. And do I think it would be do I think it would reflect extremely well on Oklahoma's season if Gavin Sawchuk or Javante Barnes or Caleb Hicks, one of those backs, if one of those guys was all SEC? Yes. I think we'd be absolutely ecstatic because that means OU ran the hell out of the ball in the
Yeah.
SEC. And that you have to imagine that would result in a lot of offensive success, but you got to be able to throw the rock and score points in college football now. You just have to. And you think about some of the high-powered offenses in the SEC last year and the types of wide receivers that they had.
I think they only do two receivers too, and they're all SEC lists,
I
right?
I think if you're looking for one guy to make all SEC, the postseason all SEC team as an indicator for a great season, I think it's Deion Burks.
Yeah.
Because I think he is at this time with everything I've seen, I think he's the most dynamic playmaker we got.
Well, and if you go back and you look at the kind of the recent history of making all SEC at wide receiver, probably I don't know. I'm just guessing. I bet it's a 100% conversion rate to a first round draft pick. And I he's capable of that type of production. So if I'm with you. If that happens, I think it's a really good indicator that everything was working offensively. O line, quarterback, yeah, that'd be big.
Last year, all SEC wide receiver first team, Luther Burden. He good.
Mm-hmm.
And then Malik Neighbors. He good.
Yep.
First rounder.
Yep.
Early first rounder. And
Which
I would
that
expect Burden's gonna, if everything goes according to plan for him this season, gonna be a top 10 pick.
yeah. Yep.
Second team was Brian Thomas, the other phenomenal wide receiver for LSU last year.
1,200 yards receiving.
And then Xavier Leggett, who was a first rounder.
Yeah.
So yes, if you are an all SEC wide receiver, it is most likely that you will be a first round pick.
Yep.
Which I still feel good about my Deion Burks pick.
Yeah.
If he doesn't have a big time like SEC, all SEC caliber season, things did not go according to plan offensively.
Yeah. Playing the position that he plays, assuming he's healthy the entire time, it would almost be shocking if he's not knocking on the door of 110 receptions. Just got to
Just
think, like,
touches. Just
yeah,
touches. I don't even know if they all have to be receptions. Just get the guy the football.
I mean, Drake Stoops had like 80 some and 900 yards receiving last year. I think I think they're going to get the Deion Burks the ball just as much or more.
Do you think people are shocked you didn't go with the defensive player, like a defensive lineman?
Maybe I
The
don't know.
Stutsman and remember, Stutsman and Bowman were removed. They were not choices.
Yeah, it's interesting though. Like at edge, you could have a 4 sack game against Temple, have a 3 sack game against Houston, and then have 2 sacks the rest of the year, and you'd have probably make all SEC. It, at wide receiver or running back, you can't just pad a bunch of stats in your non-conference and expect that to be the case. And I mean, it really wouldn't happen at edge either, I guess, but I don't know. I think it's just because of how good I feel about the overall defense and how they're going to play. Like if I could have a sign now that the offense had a breakout year by you're telling me one of these guys made all SEC, I think I'd take that.
Yeah, me too. Burks is the answer. I'm really excited to watch him play football.
So,
Let's get to a couple more questions. But first, get road trip ready this summer with Love's Travel Stops, your leader in highway hospitality. Download the Love's Connect app and unlock a 10-cent per gallon discount on gas and auto diesel at more than 640 Love's locations. Stock up on snacks and drinks with mobile deals and drink club rewards. And if you forgot something at home, Love's Mobile to Go Zone has you covered from phone chargers to headphones. Love's Travel Stops is your one-stop shop for clean places and friendly faces.
and celebrate with a Schooner All-American Ale, the official craft beer of OU Athletics from Coop Ale Works. Named after the iconic Sooner schooner that races across Owen Field after an OU score, you can join in on the celebration with an ice-cold beer from Coop Ale Works. You can enjoy it at the Palace on the Prairie, at OU Athletic events, at the bar, at the tailgate, and in the comfort of your own home. For more information on Schooner All-American Ale, visit schoonerale.com. Must be 21 to purchase. Please drink responsibly. Schooner All-American Ale, the taste of game day.
And we were brought to you by Simple Modern, the Oklahoma-owned drinkware company and #1 drinkware sales leader on Amazon and Target. And this year, Simple Modern is now the official drinkware sponsor of University of Oklahoma Athletics. Keep on the lookout. You're sure to spot exclusive drinkware options at all home games so you can stay hydrated while supporting your favorite Oklahoma team. Also, let's not forget 10% of all Simple Modern profits going to charity. Many right here in Oklahoma. You'll also, so if you buy Simple Modern stuff, you'll also know you're helping Oklahomans off the field as well. Simple Modern, good everywhere. This is an interesting one from at Balaji on Twitter. I'm sorry if I messed that up. I tried my best. Bhallaajee. Take a guess, Ted. What do you got, Ted? Come on, take a guess. Balaji. Just say it with confidence. Balaji.
Balaji. Yeah.
Yeah, nailed it. Okay. He asks, which conference game will we lose that we should win? Which game will we win that we should lose? This is a fantastic question. So we asked conference games. So conference home games are Tennessee, South Carolina, Alabama, and then I think technically we're home for OU Texas this year. And then conference away games, we've got Auburn, Ole Miss, Missouri, and LSU. So which conference game do you think they will lose that they should win?
The Auburn game is interesting to me. First road game. You wouldn't think that there should be any trap game in the SEC at all, especially whenever you see what's happened, how Auburn has played at home. They're going to be up for that game in a big way. But I think the Tennessee game is going to be like the biggest home environment that we've had in a long time. And I think that there's a chance that we play the best game that we've played in a long time. And you got Texas, looming coming up. And I don't know, you don't hear a whole lot about Auburn. I mean, there's people excited for that trip. We've never been. no one's giving them a whole lot of credit for how good of a football team they're going to be. I think they're going to be better than they were a year ago and be dangerous. Like that one worries me. But
Remember, they
you know,
were seconds away from beating Bama last year.
yeah,
It took a miraculous play at the end of that game for Alabama to beat them. And Auburn was not a very good football team a year ago.
right.
And I know that that's a rivalry game. That game is a little different than OU Auburn. But yeah, and it didn't, I don't think it made me feel any better about that trip. What did Kirby Smart say at SEC Media Days? It's like one of the toughest places to play on the planet.
Carson Beck told Jackson Arnold the place is cursed or something or haunted or something weird.
So that is one where you look at it and you go, okay, OU is, on paper is a better football team, but it is, it also does feel like a weird situation. Does it change your thought process at all that there's that vibe between the Texas game
Yeah,
and Auburn?
it helps. It definitely helps, but I I don't know. I just there's a lot of talk about Tennessee and Texas and Alabama and LSU and Ole Miss and Missouri. Not any talk about Auburn and South Carolina. South Carolina's coming to our place, which makes me feel better about it. You're going on the road to Auburn. And let's face it, we haven't been a good road team. We've put ourselves in way too many bad positions over the last couple of years. So you're gonna have it's gonna be more difficult on the road in this conference. There's no doubt. But like the other thing I say is because of like the environments and stuff, it's not going to be the sleepy 11 a.m. kicks that really worried us before about how we're going to show up and play. So I don't know. It's not an easy one to pick, but I mean, I guess the other part of it is how many games can you just check and say that we should win it? I mean, I feel
Yeah.
good about a lot of them, like that we're capable of winning, but I mean, it's hard to just go through and write a W next to hardly any of them.
I think that the easiest answer to which game will they win that they should lose is Texas. Everyone thinks Texas is a better football team than Oklahoma going into the year.
Mhm.
Last time I checked. That's not what I think necessarily, but when you just think about all the hype around Texas, you look at that game, you look at the matchup, that is a game that people think Oklahoma should lose.
Mhm.
But you and I both know what everyone else thinks does not matter in that football game. It
No.
is a weird game. There's just no way to explain it. And so I think that's the easy choice for me because OU is going to be an underdog in that football game. It's almost guaranteed. So I think that is an easy one to circle and go, yeah, I think they can go beat Texas again, like they did a year ago when Texas had a better football team than Oklahoma. And OU went and beat them.
And Texas could be a dangerous team coming in too. I think they play I think they play Michigan and Georgia before they play Oklahoma,
They
right?
have Georgia the week after.
Okay, that's after. Okay.
Yeah, week after
So
OU Texas, they've got Georgia in
okay.
Austin.
So they're at Michigan and then
They've got a
the other
bye before you. Both OU and Texas have a bye before OU Texas.
okay.
Their
What's their
first
first
SEC game is Mississippi State.
okay. Yeah. Well, I think yeah, that's probably the best pick. I mean,
I think my other pick would be, and it's along the same, similar line of thinking is I think a game that OU can win that a lot of people think they're going to lose is the Alabama game.
mhm.
Just because Alabama has been, I mean, the program's been ridiculous, man. It's just been ridiculous. And I know the biggest question mark about Kalen DeBoer was, hey, can he recruit? He seems to be recruiting just fine, but we don't know what it's going to look like. But
Yeah.
everyone would say, hey, Alabama's got a more talented roster, but they got to come to Norman. And that's probably a game that OU is going to be a home underdog in. But would it surprise me at all if OU plays extremely well in that game and knocks them off? No, it wouldn't surprise me at all.
Yeah, I agree. It's a good pick. You know, it's kind of like most of the games are hard to pick because I I think Alabama's going to be good, but I think there's questions there. You know, super talented, but does the whole mix work like it used to? LSU, I, has their defense gotten better? What are they going to do without all of that production on offense? Like, you don't just like turn the page after a talent like Jaden Daniels. So I'm curious about LSU. I've got questions about Ole Miss, talented roster, bunch of transfer portal guys. By the time we play them, if they've lost a game or two, is it like every man for himself? I don't know. So I think both the Alabama and Texas game though are really good picks.
If you're a true agent of chaos, you would have said, Houston, Willie Fritz is coming. No, I'm just kidding.
I
Are we
think it,
overlooking the non-conference? We talk about that Tennessee game a lot. I know the players or the coaches won't overlook the non-conference, but it does feel like we're overlooking it a little bit.
well,
Willie
yeah,
Fritz is a hell of a football coach.
he is. I don't. I guess I don't know how to answer that other than I, if it doesn't matter anyways. If you can't beat Tulane and Houston and Temple, it doesn't matter anyways. You know, I
We
mean, I hate to say that, but
Fair enough. Let's not put that energy out in the world. Let's move on.
no, no, yeah.
You're scaring people, Ted. Stop it. All right. This next question comes from Austin Nunn. What's going on, Austin? He asks, Peyton Bowen or Robert Spears Jennings? Or will Venables find a way to get both on the field at the same time alongside Billy? It's an interesting question, right? You've got three guys that you feel really, really, really good about. You know, their talent level, the physicality, their understanding of the defense, Ted. But for the most part, you typically only have two safeties out on the field. So what are your thoughts on that safety, those two safety spots right now?
Well, I think Billy and Peyton Bowen are probably your two. I think Peyton Bowen, he's a playmaker. He finds the ball. He's going to make things happen out there. I think Robert
I,
Spears
I
Jennings.
I was at the practice when he had the one-handed interception, and the volume level of my expletive that I let out was it was high.
Nice. That is impressive play. Um, I don't know. They're playmakers, prone to a little more risk. I think Robert Spears Jennings is. I love having his size and physicality out there. I honestly think you're going to see all three of those guys play. Um, I think the battle between Robert Spears Jennings and Peyton Bowen is going to continue probably all season, but all three are going to play and going to play a lot. Whether it's Robert Spears Jennings and Peyton Bowen rotating in and out, or if they find a way to because Peyton Bowen can play other spots. He's played the cheetah spot at times. He's played the dime or six pack, whatever they call it, the extra guy that comes in whenever they're in dime. He plays that as well. So there's other ways to get Peyton Bowen out there. So, and I think they may do some three safety stuff. You know, we've seen them do a little bit of that in the past. The 3-3-5 look, and he could factor in that as well. So I think all three are going to play.
Yeah, Venables said he had some interesting quotes about the safety position during his media availability last Saturday. He basically said between Robert, Billy, and Peyton, and then it's like this group of freshmen. that they don't really have a lot after those three guys,
Yeah.
but he said the freshmen are, they're coming along well. So you look at, guys like Jaden Hardy, Reggie Powers looks the part physically already.
Mhm.
It's not an easy position to learn in Brent Venables' defense. But he came out and basically said, like, I got to get these young guys ready to play.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see what young guys emerge back there, as you would assume they'd be special team type of guys, and then guys that would get a lot of snaps late especially in these non-conference games, to see how they react to, going out there and playing a game as a young player. But I always think Woody Washington is a guy that can kind of slide anywhere he needs to be in the secondary, even though he's, primarily going to be in that corner room. But it's a good group. Those three guys, you feel really, really good about those three guys. Any mix of those three at the two safety spots, and especially Billy Bowman, dude. He's got a bit of an edge to him now.
He does. He
I don't know what
does.
happened. I like it though. He's always been a physical player, but he's clearly as physically developed as he's ever been.
Yes.
He looks fantastic. And dude, he's got a little more violence to him now.
He knows what he's doing. Totally confident out there. Knows his role on the football team. He's going to have a huge year. But I agree. I think we will see Woody out there. I think he gives him some stability, as much football as he's played. And the young guys, Hardy, Powers, Boganowski, I think they are super athletic at safety. That is going to be the future is bright at safety. I don't know how much those young guys are going to play this year, but they like them all. There's good size, explosiveness, talent there, and I don't know. I feel really good about where we're at for the future at safety. Now, this year, I feel really good too. You're always a one play away from things looking totally different, but as we sit here today, it's the best we've looked at safety in a while. Those three options at safety are all excellent.
It will be interesting to see if we see Peyton Bowen, since we're on the safety topic. It'll be interesting to see if we see him in the return game at all. Guy's an athlete. Is it smart to have him back there as a punt returner or kick returner? Is that a good spot for you to get him extra snaps on the field if he's in this kind of three-man rotation at the safety spot? I don't know, where he's getting to wet the beak a little bit, scratch the old itch, get the man the football a little bit. I don't know. I am interested to see, especially kind of how that punt returner situation shakes out, because you've got Peyton Bowen's an option. You've got Billy Bowman is an option. You've got certainly Deion Burks is an option. Like you've got a lot of options, but those are also some of your best players on the football team. So
Yeah.
it'll be interesting to see how the return spots work out.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, it's a good point. Like, we've turned the corner roster wise to where we like what we've got and we're worried about getting enough snaps to different people, and it's a good problem to have. I mean, it's the nature of the beast these days.
Let's get to some more questions. But first,
All you grill masters, listen up. Didier Ranch delivers premium quality beef that is 100% raised in Oklahoma right to your front door. Go to didierranch.com, DIDIER ranch.com to order one of their premium quality beef boxes and use promo code Oklahoma15 for 15% off your order. Filet, ribeye, New York strip, sirloin, steak burgers. They got it all, and they ship anywhere in the continental U.S., and Oklahomans can get deliveries in just 1 to 2 days. The only thing better than having a lot of premium beef on the O&D line, having premium beef delivered right to your front door. Didier Ranch. Tradition tastes better.
and head to the garage for hand smashed patties, butter toasted buns, and some ice cold beer. It's the perfect spot to watch any big game, and with all the garage locations being open to 10 p.m. or later every night, It's the go-to late night spot. Visit eatatthegarage.com to find a location near you and order online from the garage in your neighborhood.
Attention business owners, you need Insurica in your life. Insurica is one of the country's largest insurance brokers with 30 offices throughout Oklahoma, Texas, and the Southwest. They compare and contrast coverage offerings and pricing from many insurance carriers in order to design a cost-effective, comprehensive program to meet your business's specific needs. If your business partners with Insurica, you'll save huge amounts of money and take back control of your total cost of risk. If your business wants to be best in class, connect with Insurica at insurica.com. That's INSURICA.com.
And three things matter in banking: service, service, and service. And First Fidelity Bank's commitment to exceptional service is more than a promise, it's their foundation. FFB has been by your side for over a century, and they are honored to be part of your journey. Banking is about where it isn't about where you've been, it's about where you are headed. Open an account at an award-winning bank today at ffb.com. At First Fidelity Bank, we go where you go. This next question comes from Wishbone Willie. Love that. How fast do you think the offense will go this year? He adds, in my opinion, the offense the last few years have been like a Ferrari with one speed. Will there be more nuance to the hurry up under Seth Luttrell? What do you think, Ted?
Well,
More
if you listen,
nuance.
yeah, if you listen to the way he's talked about it, he said that they're going to go fast. I wish they wouldn't go as fast personally, but I think that's what you're going to see. Now, I think a lot of it will depend on, can Jackson Arnold run the offense efficiently at speed like that? How does the offensive line do? Does it work? Are you having success with it? I think there's some of that to it. Like, I wish we played at a slower speed. When you have a defense that's as good as ours is, I think you should slow down a little bit. I also, I don't know, to a certain degree, I don't think it hurts the defense as much as maybe people think. And I I don't know. I feel like sometimes you don't do yourself any favors when you go fast just to go fast, or when you go fast to hide other deficiencies. I think there's better ways to mask that.
That is an interesting part. You think about the offensive line situation. Tempo, if you feel like you are undermanned along the offensive line,
Mm-hmm.
tempo is typically a way teams try to neutralize a deficiency up front.
Yep.
Like, hey, we're just going to play really fast, make the defense kind of scramble around, and just be in better shape than them.
Mm-hmm.
I think they feel better about their offensive line situation than they did in the spring. And I do wonder, is going super fast the best thing for a young quarterback? I don't know. It's all about, can Jackson Arnold process all this stuff as quickly as he needs to? I do think there is some value every once in a while getting lined up and seeing what the defense is hit.
Yeah.
I'm a big proponent of that. But Joe John
You have to
Finley and
go
Seth
fast to be
Luttrell,
able to threaten to go fast, like
yeah,
you have to snap it fast in order to get them to truly show their hand if you're going to run to the line of scrimmage.
I think I think their, let's call it, their base mode of operation is going to be tempo. That's that's what Joe John Finley and Seth Luttrell have been doing for a long time offensively.
Yep.
So, and you think about some of these super successful offenses around the country, like they play fast, they snap it quickly. It's how this offense has kind of evolved. I I wish I I wish that it was a rule that you had to huddle every play in college football. That's what I truly
Yes.
wish. I wish that it was a penalty if you didn't huddle.
I've been
But
saying it for years. That's
I
right.
don't you think that at this point it just feels like they're going to be a tempo offense?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It still comes down to execution.
That's it. You can't like tempo and speed. You can fool some people for a little while with it, but it's not a perfect mask. You know, if you truly have deficiencies, you're gonna hurry up yourself right into a lot of problems. So I don't know. I think it's most effective whenever you play at different speeds. So we'll see. I mean, it's definitely going to be a large part of what they do.
I think it's kind of like a double-edged sword where if you play really fast, it limits what the defense can do. It limits how elaborate they can be with their plan. Like it eliminates a lot of stuff to where you just kind of don't even have to worry about it. But it also limits what you can do offensively,
Mhm.
and it limits what you can see from the defense before you snap the football.
Yeah, and it
And
also
I don't know, man. It's like a love hate. I I played in a tempo offense and always felt, I felt like it was an advantage for me. I was kind of, especially early in my career when I was an undersized guy. I was like, hey, this gives me more of a chance to succeed. You got to be in great shape. But as I got older and I was playing center, I was like, you know what? It'd be really cool to just be able to look at the defense before I snap this ball with my head between my legs.
yeah,
But so goes life, Ted.
yeah. We can talk about stylistically, what do we prefer? I think it's been proven many a times. It's well on the record that I hate tempo offenses, but it's how it's going to be. It's how it's going to be. So I hope that we do have some different speeds and there is some different nuance to it because at times over the last couple of years, it felt like we don't have anything except for run up to the line, snap it, and try and throw it or hand it off where they're not, which is not a good way to run an offense or a football team, in my opinion.
And somehow, statistically, pretty solid.
It's been great, which is, I mean, last year, what we were the number three offense in the country? Never felt like
It
it, but
never
we
felt
were.
that way.
Oh no, that's what I'm saying. It's like I don't know.
I just there's something that comes with just being able to play kind of at a methodical pace at times in the game and still going and scoring points.
Yeah,
Like showing dominance, if that makes sense.
yeah,
Hey, if they go super fast this season and score a bunch of points, we're going to be the first two out here going, this is awesome. Keep going. Pedal to the metal, baby. Let's go.
yeah.
But
No,
it all comes down to execution.
yeah.
So if you're going to be a
I
tempo offense, get really, really good at it.
here, you make best with what you have. I mean, that's the ultimate goal. That's what everyone's doing. I find it to be a gimmick to replace what you can't when you can't like run over the top. I don't know. We've seen people run pace. I mean, I think everyone to some degree does it, but I mean, you haven't seen any championship teams relying on it for offense, you know? So that's kind of where I'm at with it.
You you wish we were Michigan, don't you?
Yes.
So many tight ends.
I mean, if you really want to screw a defense up, make them have to sub like different guys on and off the field and communicate that. I don't know, like speed, when I can see the formation, it makes it easy. Yeah, I might get tired, but whenever you like are like running two tight ends on, a back off, three wide receivers, like it just changing personnel constantly, defenses, there no one's good at logistics anymore in football games.
What was it? I can't remember. Was it Iowa State a couple of years ago where you were up in the booth like charting? They've been in, it was like their first drive and they had been in 8 different personnel groupings.
Yeah, was it them or Kansas?
or
Someone
Kansas
like that.
State or maybe
Yeah,
it was Kansas. I can't remember, but you were just going, they're throwing everything at us.
yeah. Which, like some defenses are good enough to stand back and you can match all that personnel with the same people, but a lot of times you got to run different guys on and off, and like when you just stay lined up with two by two wide receivers and just go fast, like you're not moving anybody. It doesn't affect a good defense.
Agreed.
Mm.
Big tempo guys, clearly. We've reached the Phil Lawson. I'm calling this the Phil Lawson section of the
Okay.
podcast because he sent in three really good questions in one tweet. Phil's first question: which player has markedly taken the biggest step forward towards reaching their full potential over the summer and thus far into fall camp? One for offense and one for defense.
You know, even though it's not like it's almost hard not to say Billy Bowman, isn't it? I mean, he's already been great, and I think the the question is more aimed towards guys that are maybe
Like
have
young
been,
guys.
yeah,
But it's
um,
fine if you feel if Bowman's the first guy that pops into your head. First of all, going to get a lot of people excited because he was a damn good player a year ago.
yeah.
And if he's improved, which you and I both agree, he just looks like he's playing at a different level at this point in time.
Oh man, who else? Oh my gosh, Danny Okoye.
Don't get me started on Okoye, man. Last episode, I know my comments about Okoye caught some people's attention. He's he's just scratching the surface.
Yes.
Just
Yep.
scratching the surface. Not even close. Not even close to reaching the full potential.
Yeah, the full potential. Um,
Is Bauer Sharp a good answer? I feel like everybody, all his teammates really respect him. The coaching staff raves about him. Like the guy, he was pretty much an unknown and has worked really, really hard through the spring and summer. And now we're about to find out, is he going to reap all the benefits of that hard work? He's the starting tight end. There's just no question about that.
yeah. What about Jaden Gibson? He's got a lot of praise recently as well.
He's gotten a lot of praise. Is wide receiver is one of those positions for me. I value wide receiver very highly now in the pecking order on your football team. And wide receiver is one of those positions where I'm just gonna have to see you do it in games, man.
Yeah. Well, at tight end, it's like I'm just going to have to see them allow you to get the ball thrown your way.
Yes, that would be nice.
I mean, even when Mark Andrews was here, it was like, why the hell are we not throwing the ball to him constantly? Why? Just, well, it's one of those things, position he plays. Okay. So have we answered that at
Oh,
all?
no, we've done a terrible job at answering this question.
Just popping
I
up more
think
questions.
is it and it's still early, but it's also like the season is almost here. I maybe the answer is Javante Barnes
Huh.
on offense. Because let's be real, man. You think about what we were saying about him after the Florida State bowl game,
Yes.
and then what we were saying about him after the Arizona game and the
That's right.
season that he had.
Yep.
Like it took a big dip. It was one of those where it's like, hey man, I don't know if this guy can play here. I don't know what's going on with him. I don't know if he can play here. He looked
Yeah.
slow. He looked tentative, and now He looks fast and explosive and healthy, and like he's playing carefree. So I
Yeah.
think we do talk about a guy that is much closer to his full potential than what we saw a year ago. I think Javonte Barnes may be the answer on offense.
Okay.
You
I'm
don't love it. I
comfortable with
can tell
that.
you don't love it. Just tell
No,
me you don't
no,
love it.
I'm comfortable with that. I like that.
Okay. Okay.
Like my look probably was because I had already locked that in Javonte Barnes and was back to thinking about defense. And is it Kip Lewis getting his weight up to where?
That was instantly the name that popped into my head for the
Yeah,
defense.
yeah, maybe it's Kip Lewis. Kip Lewis, Javonte Barnes. We feel good about that.
I think that feels good.
Feels good.
I also think Kendall Dolby, I just think that he's playing at a high level. The way that they want him to play Cheetah when he's on the field,
Hmm.
all Cheetahs are not created equal in this defense. And they don't use them all the same in this
Right.
defense. They're smart football coaches. They coach around their personnel and ask and try to play to their strengths, who they have on the field. I think Dolby in the more like cover heavy, blitz every once in a while when you need to blitz, roll at the Cheetah. I think they feel really good about what he's given that defense.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, I, he he does a great job covering those inside receivers. He's excellent, and I think he's gotten way better at kind of disguising and timing his blitzes. Practice I was at, I think it was 2 or 3 times he came wide open on blitzes just by kind of pimping a little bit there on the outside where they thought he was covering or whatever, and he came totally unblocked.
I may or may not have been screaming that he was coming off the slot at one point and out of practice. I was like, why is Billy on the hash? Billy shouldn't be on the hash. Just screaming like an old man. If I can see it, you got to be able to see it out there, boys. Come on, man.
Well, that's the other thing that, like, and you know this, I've talked about it on the broadcast a million times. Biggest pet peeve in the world is whenever the entire world knows you're blitzing, just get right up there and blitz. Stop staying way back and being super late whenever it's already been spotted. It's like a throwaway snap. Whole snap sucks because of that.
Devontae Barnes, Kip Lewis, final answer.
Yes.
Which brings us to Phil Lawson's second question. Remember,
Okay.
Phil Lawson section of the podcast here. Question 2 for Phil. Percent of plays the offense will use a traditional tight end. Whoa.
What do we mean by traditional?
I I think
Hand
we need
down in line?
hand down in line. I is that a traditional tight end in my mind is a guy that is equally good at blocking as he is going out and catching the football. Is Bauer Sharp a traditional tight end? The guy was a quarterback a couple years ago.
I don't From what I've seen, and you've probably watched him more, I feel like he blocks his ass off.
Oh yeah, but he also was a quarterback a couple years ago.
Yeah.
So is he a traditional tight end? Yes. No, I would say if you look at the tight end room right now, the most traditional looking like body type and skill set is Jake Roberts.
Yeah.
I would say Bauer Sharp leans more to, let's call it the new age tight end, like more
Yeah.
of an athletic, like his strength is the athleticism and pass catching. Now he's physical and I think he's even more than a willing blocker. Willing blocker is usually what you're looking for from that athletic kind of move tight end. I think he's getting pretty good at blocking people. He's certainly willing to mix it up and he's physical. But yeah, traditional tight end percentage of plays, I think they're mainly going to be an 11 personnel football team.
Yeah. That's why, by the way the question is framed, that's why I feel like he's talking about like an inline hand down on the line of scrimmage tight end. He's asking how many percent of the plays will they be in that like type of traditional formation? And I would say, like, if they're in 12 a lot, you'll probably get that look. I mean, if they're both going to be good blockers, and like, I mean, if Roberts is going to be legit blocker and Bauer Sharp is good, he's going to be the move guy, right? Off the ball. And if you have that combination between those guys, I think 12 could be really dangerous for you as a personnel grouping. But are they going to use it? Who knows?
Don't get me excited. Don't get me hopeful that they're going to do a bunch of 12 personnel.
Wait till have you seen Missouri's run game?
Yeah. That guy ran for a gajillion yards last year.
I was watching the
Outside zone,
Missouri.
inside zone, outside zone, inside zone.
Yeah,
It's beautiful. Go watch
I
it,
was
people. It's gorgeous.
I was watching the Tennessee Missouri game, and I was like, because I was like, I want to see this Tennessee defensive line, and I was like, I hate that I really like Missouri's offense. A lot of bunch, a lot of like boot stuff. It's pretty good.
Bunch of concepts that build. Ah,
Yes.
you can do so much off outside zone, people. Why everybody just doesn't run it a ton, I don't know. I don't know. But the tight end situation, it is going to be an interesting one. I think you feel really good about Sharp. Roberts has played a ton of football. Cade McIntyre still so he's just not a big guy. I don't know like where he fits really. Caden Helms, we're to the point where it's like I'm just gonna have to see him out on the field
Yeah.
before I believe it. I wish that guy the best, man. He's just battled the injuries have been horrible for him. Like, but I'm just gonna have to see him out on the field on a game day to and then assess it from there. But Josh Fanuel,
He's
does
improved a
he
lot.
he's gotten a lot better, but is he to a point where you say, okay, yeah, go block SEC edge guys?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. I think you're probably there. I think Bauer Sharp and Jake Roberts seems like a really probably your best two tight ends that you've had in a while, but for a two deep. So I like it.
Bill Lawson's third question. Will we use any two back sets? I hope so. I think they feel pretty good about where the running back position is as a whole now that Javante Barnes is looking good. Sawtruck is kind of, you know what you're going to get. Now he's got great speed. You know what you're going to get with him, but is he a guy you want to use in two back sets? Like when you get in two back, when you get in 21, backs have to block typically with some of the things you're doing in the run game.
Mm-hmm.
And is Sawchuk, and you want both guys to be able to block because you don't want to just have the defense be able to key on one guy and be like, that's the blocking guy. That's the guy they're going to give the ball to. So if it's a two back situation, I think it'd more likely be the two bigger backs like Hicks and Barnes. Maybe Tatum in there if, as the season progresses and he kind of earns more and more trust. But I think if you get in a two back set, you want both guys to both have like a physical presence too. And I'm not saying that Sawchuk can't go in there and throw his body around. He obviously can, but I just think Barnes and Hicks would be a nice duo in a two back set. And it's a good way to get both of those guys on the field and keep them involved and feel like they're getting a lot of snaps.
Yeah. I love it.
We just don't know if they're going to do any of this.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Like two backs, I love it. You can run, you can run your insert stuff. You can run split zone. You can run counter. You can run zone read. You can run boot. It's great for screens. It's really good for like the inside
Hold on.
route concepts.
What's a screen?
Yeah.
What's a running back screen?
stuff you typically run whenever you get in a huddle and not just line up and run the same zone insert run for the 95th time of the game. But like, it offers a bunch of variety. I just don't think that that's what we're going to see. I mean, maybe like I think it'll be a game plan 1 week, 3 or 4 snaps out of it, possibly, and then you don't see it again for 3 or 4 weeks or rest of the season. Game plan only thing, not going to be a base part of the offense. That would be my guess.
I think that's a fair guess. Well, I don't know how elaborate they're going to get with the personnel groupings.
Yeah.
I think they're mainly going to be an 11 personnel team. And part of me thinks that if they're going to change it up personnel wise, they're going to go maybe more the 10 personnel direction as opposed to like the 12.
Yeah.
With the talent they have at wide receiver. I don't know. But
hey, three great questions, and I'm not sure that we answered any of them. I guess we truly did answer number one. Finally,
I hope Phil Lawson enjoyed his section of the podcast. Thank
good
you, Phil.
conversation, anyway.
Thank you, Phil. All right, we got one more question we want to answer, but first,
we are brought to you by HelloFresh, America's #1 meal kit. With HelloFresh, you get farm fresh, pre-portioned ingredients and seasonal recipes delivered right to your doorstep. Skip trips to the grocery store and count on HelloFresh to make home cooking easy, fun, and affordable. We all know home cooked meals are so much better for you, but you don't always have time to pull it off. But with HelloFresh handling all the meal planning, shopping, and most of the prep, it's easier than ever to get dinner on the table quick and painless. My wife and I made the HelloFresh crispy kickin' cayenne chicken cutlets with the mashed potatoes, carrots, and the little honey drizzle the other night. It was super easy. Instructions were easy. Only took us 30 minutes or so, and it was great. It was awesome leftovers as well. I loved it. HelloFresh lets you easily customize your delivery from week to week, tailor everything to your schedule by adjusting your delivery date, or skip a week when you're not able to cook at home. For free breakfast for life, go to HelloFresh.com/free OK breakdown. One free breakfast item per box while subscription is active. That's free breakfast for life just by going to HelloFresh.com/free OK breakdown.
And what if for the rest of 2024, you got a little bit better every day? When you're learning a new language with Babbel, that's exactly what you're doing. 1 in 5 Americans have learn a new language on their bucket list. If that's you, make 2024 the year you finally check it off the list with Babbel. Here's a special offer for our listeners, and it is only for our listeners. Right now, get up to 60% off your Babbel subscription at babbel.com/Oklahoma. Don't pay hundreds of dollars for private tutors or waste hours on apps that don't really help you speak the language. Just use Babbel. Babbel's quick 10-minute lessons are handcrafted by over 200 language experts to help you start speaking a new language in as little as 3 weeks. And if you want a live classroom experience from the comfort of your home, Babbel Live is for you. Babbel Live classes are available 7 days a week at any time of day and taught by over 450 certified teachers, so you can learn on your schedule. Travel a lot. Ted, I'm gonna learn. What language should I learn with Babbel? I'm thinking German. Spanish. German?
Yeah. Spanish, good enough to be able to get around. Okay.
Okay. German. That sounds cool. Speaking German, huh?
Yeah, you would.
That's a Babbel. I'm coming. Babbel German. I'm coming for you. Get up to 60% off at babbel.com/Oklahoma. That's BABBEL.com/Oklahoma. Rules and restrictions may apply.
And head to opolisclothing.com for our podcast merchandise and the best OU gear out there. That's OPOLIS clothing.com. Use promo code TED, TED, for 10% off. That's opolisclothing.com. Use promo code TED for 10% off. Buttery soft and 10% off.
This last question's a bit of a doozy.
Mm-hmm.
And such a doozy, in fact, that I forgot to write down who sent this question. I did copy and paste it into the rundown, but I will go find, once you start answering the question, I will go find the person that sent it in and give them
Okay.
the proper credit. But here's the question, Ted. There was a lot of loud doubt heading into BV's first season. Fans rejected that, but found it justified at the end of the season. Why is this season different with the doubt of the national media heading into SEC year one?
Well, I don't know. I think the situations are they're totally different. The doubt in Brent Venables year one was maybe it was about all the players that had gone. It was the fact that he'd never been a head coach before, that Lincoln Riley, the guy that has been so good with our offense, was gone. I mean, I think there was a little bit, it was different than the doubt this year is just, it feels like no one believes that our program has gotten any better, that we've kind of stayed the exact same since Venables has taken over, and it's just flat out not the case. Um, when you go back to year one, we were a 6-7 football team. I think we lost 5 one-score games, and I think most of them were by a field goal. And not to like justify it, but that season could have looked totally different. I didn't think we weren't a very good football team, and it's obviously reflected in our record. But I the two situations between that year and this year are totally different. We are going to have the best defense that we've had at Oklahoma in over a decade. I mean, I don't know how far you want to go back, but we've got a probably a legit, should have been a Thorpe finalist and maybe even a winner last year, and will probably be a Thorpe finalist this year. We got a legitimate Butkus Award candidate, All-American candidate at linebacker. We've got seniority. These guys have been in this defense for 3 years. You've got a senior at every level on the defense. The talent level on defense isn't even close to where it was previously. I mean, you can go to the size of the defensive line, you can go to the size of the backers, all of it. And offensively, I mean, I don't know. Who knows? And you've said it well that at wide receiver, you're just going to have to go show us on the field. But talent wise, I feel like it's possibly the best we've looked at wide receiver in a really long time with the depth and the athleticism. I mean, it's not that we don't have questions. We definitely have questions, but I think the questions are totally different than they were in 2022.
I I'm with you. And shout out to Sooner Gnome 17 for the question. Thank you, Sooner Gnome 17. But
Are there
2020,
16 other Sooner Gnomes out there?
I don't know, but maybe that's his lucky number. I don't know. But I think that I think the biggest difference between the 2022 team and the 2024 team is just talent and experience. I mean, now you had Dylan Gabriel as your quarterback in 2022. You're going to have Jackson Arnold, who has played one game. Yeah, that is the inexperience at quarterback. I think is a big factor in how this team is being viewed. I've said it before, but I'll say it again. I really wonder how differently people would be talking about OU if Dylan Gabriel was still
Yeah.
on the roster. I think that would be an interesting case study. But I think there's just no denying that the schedule this season is head and shoulders much, much more difficult than what OU played against in 2022. But it's also just a more talented football team.
Well, yeah. Like, what would this team look like playing the 2022 team's schedule, and what would the 2022 team look like playing this team's schedule?
This team would not lose 49-0 to Texas. I know I've tried to block that game out of my memory, but this question kind of, oh yeah, that did happen. And personally, that season, the low point for me was the West Virginia game. Oh my God.
Brutal.
That West Virginia team sucked.
Yep.
But I think that, it's very possible you lose a lot of games this year. Now, what is a lot? Is that 4, 3, 4, 5? I don't know. But I don't think, I could be wrong. I don't think anything like what happened against TCU in 2022 is going to happen this season, or what happened against Texas in 2022. I don't think anything like that's going to happen this season.
Right.
I think this is going to be it's a talented football team. I expect it to be a very physical football team. And I think they're going to be in a lot of close competitive football games. And it'll come down to a handful of plays that swing those games in the Sooners' favor or in the opponent's favor. But
the two teams aren't close.
no. And there's a lot of guys that are playing significant roles for the 2024 team that were on that 2022 team.
Mm-hmm.
Especially on defense, right? You think about like Stutsman was a starter on that team. Ethan Downs was a starter on that team. Billy Bowman was a starter on that team. Woody Washington was a starter on that team. But they're all older and more mature, and now they know what they're doing in the scheme.
Yep.
There's just a massive difference when you it sounds so stupid. When you actually know what you're doing
Yeah.
and you're confident, like I can't describe how much better you can go out and play.
All you have to just go watch Stutsman in 22 and Stutsman last year, and like you'll have an idea of how much better he'll be this year. It's not even, those two players are not even in the same world, and that's how it almost always is between a guy his first year starting as a sophomore and what he is as a senior. So the team is much better now. I can't tell you what's going to happen with the record. I can't tell you if the kicker's going to make big time field goals. I can't tell you like are we going to get a continual run of rotten officiating that feels like it bites us. There's some things that you can't control. The two schedules are totally different, but we have what I believe. I mean, offensively, statistically, I don't know where we're going to fall, and I really don't know where we're going to fall statistically on defense either. But I know that we're going to have like the best defense that we've had in a long time, and that to me is the main difference between like why is it different now than it was then is because you have a defense that is knocking on the door of elite.
Jeffrey Johnson was the starting defensive tackle on that team. Great guy. No business starting at the University of Oklahoma.
No.
The first time we saw him in person in an OU jersey, you and I both, we acknowledged like, hey, it's going to be a long year. That guy's starting for you. It's going to be a long year.
Yeah. I mean, just think of the comparison between that position group.
You got Dominic Williams instead of, not to pile on Jeffrey Johnson. Once again, guy played hard, came to Oklahoma, played his best, was just limited physically, extremely limited physically. And the defensive side is on, if you're comparing the deep, dark depths of despair that we were in 2022 on this podcast, but you compare that team to the team we're about to watch this season. The defense is the big difference. You go and you look at that offense, some talented guys, some experienced guys. Like, let's not forget, Eric Gray was incredible that season.
He had a hell of a year.
He was awesome. some good wide receivers on that football team,
Mm-hmm.
and a couple draft picks at tackle, right? First rounder with Anton Harrison, Wanya Morris on the other side. Like the offense was, I mean, it's pretty solid, but I think you could, looking at that team and looking at this team, there's just no doubt. Like the defense was a glaring weakness on that team, and that became clearer and clearer as the season progressed.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just not even close. And I think that's the biggest difference. And I think people are talking about OU the way that they are heading into this season. I think it's just got everything to do with how difficult the schedule is. I do think there are quite a few people out there that think OU is going to be a good football team.
I do feel like the tide has turned on that a little bit. I mean, that wasn't really how it was spoken in the beginning.
Well,
But
in the beginning, it was you haven't lived in this neighborhood. You're about to find out.
yes,
Like that's kind of a natural reaction to the newbies coming into the
mm-hmm.
best conference of college football. But yeah, I think people are starting to realize that Oklahoma's got, especially on the defensive side, has some talent.
And I also, and maybe this doesn't prove out the way I feel it will, but I also think that the new challenge and the difficulty of the schedule is you're going to have a team that's on absolute edge, right? Week in, week out. I don't know. I think we're in a much better spot. What does it mean record wise? I guess we'll just have to wait and see. But I don't know. I feel very comfortable saying that the football team, the roster, the program, all encompassing, is in a much better spot than it was in 2022.
With that being said, shout out to Eric Gray and shout out to Braden Willis. You and I,
Yes.
we loved those two
Oh,
guys that season,
yeah.
especially
Yeah.
you, Braden Willis. Just
Incredible.
he played so many snaps.
Incredible. And it was just like, when have you ever had like a H back like have that big of an impact on a season? It was awesome to watch.
Defense is going to be much better though. That was fun. We should probably do one more of those before the season starts.
Well, yeah, because we'll probably have more answers.
No kidding. All right, we do.
They turned into good conversation, but I don't know how well we answered anything.
We tried our best. We've got some shout outs, Ted. Birthday shout outs. Happy 14th birthday to Will Insminger.
Happy birthday to Jessica Freeman. She had an OU football themed bachelorette party. And
Yeah.
what we were told
I was told
okay.
that she was doing our ad reads on said bachelorette party. Was also
Yes.
told that she informed the group they were not stopping at Buc-ee's and that they were going to stop at Love's because they sponsor our podcast. I mean,
Yes.
this lady, Jessica, what's up? You sound like a diehard. Let's go.
I love it. That's amazing. That's amazing.
We are the official OU podcast for OU women football fans. Like everyone knows that. Everyone knows that this is where the ladies come first. Come on.
That's what matters. That's what matters.
Tell all your friends, Jessica. Tell them to listen.
That's right.
Like, subscribe, download, all this stuff. Come on. On that note, episode 446 in the books. We'll have a new podcast that'll drop Sunday. This may shock you. We're going to keep talking about OU football. How about that?
Mm-hmm.
Just a reminder, please subscribe to the podcast wherever you listen to podcasts, and please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Hope you all have a great rest of your week. Have an awesome weekend. And until next time, we appreciate you all for listening. Do what you always do, Oklahoma. Take care of each other.